Welcome to Virtually Learning Behavioral Skills for a Non-Virtual World. My name is Ken Hubbell. I'm the Senior Vice President and Senior Manager of Instructional Design, Strategy, and Innovation for Wells Fargo Bank. Please note the comments and opinions expressed in this presentation are solely those of Kenneth Hubbell and in no way represent the opinion of Wells Fargo Bank N.A. or its affiliates. All product examples and tools are provided with the permission of the companies represented and in no way are to be considered an endorsement by Wells Fargo Bank N.A. and its affiliates. And in this session, you will be introduced to how virtual reality and extended reality are enabling organizations like yours to create the opportunity for behavioral change by immersing learners in artificial environments where they can practice safely how to do the right thing. So it was the year 2020. A global pandemic transformed our entire planet into a remote gig economy. Your employees innovated from their homes. Virtual was the new norm. Were you ready? You know, one of the interesting things that happened as a result of COVID-19 and the work from home movement is that we discovered that many jobs can be done from your couch, your home office, the beach, your kitchen, and we found out that people are pretty productive in their own environments. Now, this wasn't for everyone, but for a large majority of the country and all the organizations that had to deal with this, they pivoted, you pivoted, and we changed the rules of the game forever. Now, one of the challenges that we faced was how to onboard and how to recruit and how to train all of these employees that still needed to be brought on board and still needed to grow within their particular role or their position or their career path. See, human skills need repeated immersive experiences, the kind of experiences you normally get in an office, in a factory. And in order to gain competency, you have to be able to practice. Well, in a virtual world, how do you do that? And how do you do it cost effectively? Well, we lucked out. The stars aligned. The hardware technology and the software technology, and in some cases, the mobile technology, all came together. And they all happened to be very, very ready for the new trend. And that was remote learning, virtual classrooms, and in some cases, virtual reality, where the environment that they would normally work in came to them in the form of a display on a headset. VR is more practical than ever to implement and at a high quality level. And this has transformed, in many cases, the way that we do learning and instruction. Now, you couple that with AR, where we can add real-time cause and effect data right over top of the lenses that are what you're using to see whatever it is that you're seeing, whatever business operation, whatever manufacturing line operation, whatever inventory operation or repair operation that you're going through, that data can now be mapped right on top of your lenses. So you no longer have to go to a catalog or to a computer monitor or to a workstation someplace to get that information. With the advent of the Internet of Things, data is coming right from the point of location within your operation, and that data can be fed right on top of your lenses. Now, VR and AR, they are important and they are relevant to the nth degree right now because they're enabling organizations and companies to do what they didn't think was possible a year and a half ago. and that is distribute the workload to people's homes and communities. In addition to the animated, computer graphic generated VR experiences that a lot of folks are familiar with, at the bank, we wanted to take a different approach. We wanted our customer service and customer contact center folks to really get to know who our customers are. And so we created a series of persona-based 360 video immersive experiences where there was a branching structure that you could navigate through and see the environment and the conditions that the folks that are our customers live in, and the life that they have, and some of the circumstances that they may be presented with during the life cycle of that person through their time with the bank. And so we created a series of these personas and brought them to life and used them in combination with a virtual classroom-based exercise to be able to convey this information to them in a way that they would not have been able to experience otherwise because of COVID and the fact that they couldn't meet with people in person. That worked great. But then we ran into some situations once COVID really kicked in that we couldn't even shoot those videos anymore. And so we had to come up with a different tact. And that's where we came up with the idea of the old radio show approach, where instead of there being immersive video, we went with immersive audio, which was a layered 3D sound experience with visual graphics, but no people. And the audio that we used was layered and overlaid with sound effects and environmental conditions. You know, there was a family with children running around, and they were trying to answer the phone from the customer service folks about a fraud case. And all those things were taking place. And because the contact center folks really never see anything of the customer anyway, it was a great opportunity there for them to build up skills using their hearing and their sensory perception of the environment through that immersive experience. And it was a whole lot less expensive than shooting a live video production. So there's all sorts of alternatives in these mediums, and XR and AR and VR all have their place, and it depends upon really analyzing your learning objectives and training objectives as to which one is the best for your situation. So let's flash forward to next year. It's the year 2022. Augmentation enables your team to efficiently and effectively serve your customers with confidence and a personal touch while maintaining social distancing. Are you ready? You know, what you're seeing on the screen here is something called a Tesla suit, and the other allows you to have a remote presence with your physical face to meet with your customers, your clients, your patients. With the Tesla suit, because it has embedded TENS receivers, which is the way of putting electric shock for doing muscle conditioning, it can also be applied to all the muscles to give you full body force feedback. And so when you're immersed in a VR scenario where there is point of contact with, you know, multiple areas of your body, whether it's football practice, boxing, or working on an electrical panel, and you want to teach someone not to shock themselves, I want to introduce you to something that I call the next normal career cycle. Currently, as many of you know, there is a shortage of skilled employees. Now, this shortage is partially due to the fact that we have an entire generation of people coming up into the workforce that have been studying and learning material that will be outdated by the time they join your company. And part of it is because we have a generation of folks that are coming into the workplace, or should be coming into the workplace, that have decided that a long-term career is not their destiny, that they want to explore their passions, that they want to enjoy a gig here and a gig there, and not have long-term ties with your organization, if they even know that your organization exists. So one of the questions I'll put out there to you is, how are you preparing this next generation of employees to be hired? Do they know you exist? Do they know what skills are going to be needed? And will the time period between now and when they're actually ready, will they actually learn the right skills to do the jobs that you don't know exist yet? Add to that, that once you do hire them and they're working and they're doing a specific job or role within your organization, how quickly do they fall behind their peers in industry, or their peers in technical school, or their peers in university? We have 6 generations of employees in the workforce. That's, of course, if you include the Etsy generation of kindergartners who are manufacturing and selling products online. And yes, they are competing with you in some cases. Kindergartners. Okay. These kids, this next generation of employees, will need to reskill themselves 4 to 8 times across their career in order to be competitive in the marketplace. I realized last August, when my daughter graduated from college, that I could reinvent myself twice before I retire. And for those of you scratching your head, so my daughter is in her 20s. And when she graduated, I thought to myself, well, if I was to relive her entire life, that would put me just about at retirement. And since I wouldn't have to go through potty training again, hopefully, and some of the early year things that happen from age 0 to 10, that means I could have 2 completely new careers in the next 20 years, 20 plus years. And that means that I could reskill myself and do 2 completely new things that I've never thought of before. So how does the company I'm working for keep me involved enough in their organization that I don't have to go elsewhere, and that they don't lose the investment that they've made in me? Well, as an employee, I need to adapt and adopt new skills and capabilities to keep advancing, especially with the technological changes that are happening in the workplace. And in order to do that, I can either be trained internally to the bank or to whatever organization I happen to be working for, or the company I'm working for could allow me to have a side hustle. Now you may say to yourself, whoa, wait a second. We don't do side hustles. Side hustles are bad. They take people away from us. Not if you play it right. If you openly say side hustles are okay, as long as you sign an agreement that it doesn't compete with your organization and doesn't take place using your equipment or your time, then the side hustle becomes a training ground for them to learn new skills and new capabilities around passions that they have that just may be the innovation you're waiting to have happen in your organization. And so they do their side hustle at nights and on the weekends, and they come back and they're excited because they built something cool, or they did something neat, or they served some people in a way that they hadn't been served before. They come back and they have skills that you have not had to pay for, that were done on their own time, that help benefit them financially, if that's something that is a necessity for them. And They bring back new ideas, fresh ideas that may be in total contrast to what they do in their day job, but maybe just the innovation you've been waiting for. Both sides win, you and the employee. Now, this leads itself to something that Oprah Winfrey and Bill Gates and Warren Buffett say we all should be doing, and that is allowing 10% of each week to be dedicated to personal development. Now, this is on the company time. This is with focus. This is with peers and mentors and coaches and cohorts. This is a way for you to take 4 hours a week and dedicate it to improving the skill sets of the people that work for you in anticipation of growth of your organization, or just to fill the gaps that you have when you have a shortage of skilled employees. And in order to achieve that, you can provide courseware. There are study sites, there are YouTube videos, or you can do something like what we're doing, which is learning academies. And these learning academies are peer-driven. We have subject matter experts in a variety of areas. They coach and mentor. They prepare the learning materials and the curriculum themselves. They have a cohort of learners that go through the program, and you can measure the output and the results and the impact on your organization just by seeing the improvements that take place before, during, and after they go through one of these programs. And it's scalable. Especially in the virtual workplace that we are today, if they're done virtually, you can record them. Then your next round of cohorts goes through the recordings, and they're available at any time. And they were produced in-house, which means that there was no cost to you other than the time it took for them to prepare the materials. And on top of it all, the best way to learn material is to teach it. We've all heard that, but this is a great way to show that it works. So this next normal career cycle starts by educating the young folks in the marketplace about your business. They need to know your business exists and what types of jobs and what types of roles are coming, so they can start getting excited and getting ready for it. And what better way to do that than to have your employees that are getting ready or heading into retirement, keep them on the payroll, but let them be evangelists in the schools to help upskill and prepare those students to make a career choice that lead them to you. So it's the year 2025. You apply machine learning to train one artificial intelligence employee and then produce as many copies as you need with no fear of attrition. Will you be ready? Now, what do I mean by this? What do I mean by you're making copies of artificial employees? Well, the reality is this: if you teach one, you can replicate the heck out of them, and they can repeat the same task over and over and over again. You teach them once, and if you need to make an adjustment, you adjust one, and the rest all adjust with it. It's code. You're just copying code. Now, that's a great thing as long as you use it in the right way. To me, the future is Cobots. Cobots are robot partners in the workplace. They do the heavy and dangerous and potentially OSHA risk type operations. They do the mundane, repetitive things that human beings don't want to do anyway. And they allow us as human beings to do the creative, the innovative, the strategic things, partnering with them. There are certain things that it's very, very hard, if not impossible, to teach a robot how to do, even with machine learning. But you partner them with a human being, the human being can determine it really quickly. But if you ask a human being to lift a 1,000-pound piece of machinery, without the aid of some mechanical device that's got to squeeze in there and also allow space for the human being to be there, and the potential danger if the part is also hot, that's a whole different equation. Same thing goes with nuclear power plant operation or bomb disposal or any of those types of operations. So if we partner with the robots instead of competing with the robots, both sides win. Because here's the thing, we are in a zero-sum game. Eliminating the human workers will leave no one left to buy the products we're making. So why have the robots at all if there's nobody that can buy it? Makes a lot of sense. So how do we get there? How do we take that step to get past that zero-sum game? Well, we can empower employees with human augmentation, exoskeletons, remote augmented reality, control of devices, evolving knowledge systems like Sophos.ai. Understand, we are in the metaverse. We may not be in the matrix yet, but we are in the metaverse. The metaverse exists. There are virtual concerts that people pay money for. There are virtual sporting events that people are paying money for. And there are virtual conferences. There are virtual meetings. There are business transactions happening in the metaverse where we can co-locate without actually having to physically be there. And we can train in the metaverse. So imagine Ender's Game and Ready Player One wrapped all together. And that's where we're headed. We have the ability to have people trained to disassemble and reassemble, to run business operations, to learn empathy and global business techniques, all in the metaverse. And in some cases, because you can do those kinds of training activities in a much more rapid succession than you could in the real world, they can learn faster. So learning transformation is not just about what we're teaching, it's how it adapts to the learner and the situation at hand, how it extends the reality that we actually live in into a world where we can practice on demand. When I was doing work for the FAA, one of the things we call it was a snowstorm in St. Petersburg. And the snowstorm in St. Petersburg is that when you work at an airport and you're trying to land planes, you have to be ready for every possible situation. So when you're going through the simulator, you have to be prepared for all these different types of scenarios that might occur. Well, in St. Petersburg, Florida, it does snow occasionally. In 1976, it did because I lived there and it happened. Okay. That's a snowstorm in St. Petersburg. The airport and the runways are not ready for it. And the air traffic controllers wouldn't be ready for it if it wasn't for the fact that they go through a simulator and go through all of the possible contingencies that could happen. So with virtual reality, we have the ability to do that for any type of business. And we can do it at the moment of need. So in the future, we're going to transition back and forth seamlessly from real world to virtual world to augmented world and back again, and really everything in between. That means that you'll have a real world situation that you've practiced in the virtual world and that is augmented by real-time data and feedback when you're doing it. That will help us all drive competence, confidence, and consistency in our operations, in our businesses, in a way that we've never been able to do before. And that is what excites me most. So Some of the challenges that you have as organizations coming forward are this. For large companies, pivoting in today's talent market is tough. You need a lot of people, and scale is your biggest obstacle when it comes to cost. And one of the challenges that you have is how to work with the manufacturers and the developers to be able to come up with cost-effective, scalable solutions that help your companies leapfrog into this VR, XR, MR, AR world. The other thing is this: virtual reality, human augmentation, artificial intelligence, robotic process automation, and cobots are here. And they're changing the very nature of what we call corporate teams. If you look at VR, AR, XR, MR, and all of the other devices that are associated with it as a risk, as an adversity in your organization, you're not only missing the boat for what it can offer your organization, but you may be adding organizational risk because you're not taking advantage of how those practice worlds, how those performance support tools can help you avoid and situations that could cost you money because you don't have the right level of practice. So meet the future head on. Reality now is what you make it. And remember, there is AI in team. Thanks very much. I'm so glad that you were able to participate and take away something from this presentation. If you have any more questions or want to reach out to me, I'm available on LinkedIn. And I also have a foundation called transhumanresources.org. Feel free to reach out and connect with me. I love to talk about this stuff with everybody. Thank you very much.